Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Suzerain, the 2.0 update, awaiting the release of Suzerain Rizia, hopefully sometime soon. But we're doing our second Let's Play series of this game, Suzerain. We're playing a little bit more of an evil, a little bit more power-hungry individual, but not totally. I mean, we're still mostly, I would say, a good-ish person, but with the vein of dictatorship rather than social democracy. So as good as you can be in that circumstance. In this episode, we're picking up from where we left off. We've recently bribed the Supreme Court to pass the constitutional amendments that we preferred. And now we are meeting with our vice president, who's become a bit of a problem in this timeline. He's a bit of a drunk, and he appears to be having an affair, and perhaps putting the national security at risk as well. But that'll be for this episode to determine. With that being said, we'll jump back into this. This was taken from a Twitch live stream. Link in the description if you want to follow those in the future. And let's get going. It was a dark, chilly evening when Peter called and asked if we could meet. He gave no details. All he said was that it was important. I drove alone through Holsword's suburbs until I reached the meeting point, named 147 Verk Avenue, number 26, our old campaign headquarters, untouched since the night of the election. This was where everything began. I made my way up the dusty staircase of the office building. The light in the second-floor hallway was out, so I used a cigarette lighter to find my way to the wooden door marked 26. I pulled on the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The heavy doorway had always been a pain to open. Coming! I don't know if it's a week later or not, Cannibal. Did it say? I don't think it said. Peter pushed the door with all his weight. It made a screeching sound and opened. Without further ado, I bid you welcome to this grand nostalgia trip hosted by yours truly, Peter Vectorn. He made an exaggerated bow. The dust from the open door was still settling down. Feeling sentimental yet? I remember it being much cleaner. That's what time does to things, my friend. You're looking a little shabbier yourself than you did back then. Come over here. Remember this? He walked over to his old desk and pointed to the gramophone that had annoyed our neighbors and kept us company for so many late nights. Peter flipped the switch and it filled the room with swing music from the 20s. I'll be damned, it still works. So what are we celebrating? Life, my friend, life. He put his hand under the desk and brought out a bottle. Took a swig and passed it to me. Drink. I took a swig as well before passing the bottle back to Peter. That's my boy. Peter snapped his fingers to the music while going through the items in the room. It looked virtually unchanged since the election. Come on, have a look around, see if it doesn't bring back memories. Go through your old desk drawers. Inside there were a few old coins, pencils, and sheets of paper. Underneath them, something caught my eye. It was a photograph of me and Monica sitting under a tree. This must have been 10, maybe 15 years ago. We looked so young and so happy. Monica would love to see this. Nice find. Look at baby Anton. You didn't even have your iconic look. Take the photograph. Go through the storage boxes. In one of the storage boxes, I found a heavy object wrapped safely. I unwrapped it. It was an emerald-colored statue of a goat, the symbol of Sordland. I remember that this was a gift from Brenda, one of the 53 election campaign assistants. It would look good on my desk in the palace. Brenda, 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 always sucking up to you. And where did it get her? Seriously, where? I have no idea where she ended up. Did we have like an affair with Brenda? Is there... I wonder, does taking the statue, would our wife not appreciate it? Whatever, take the statue. Go through the gramophones. Found one of my favorite albums ever, Mountains by Janet Gertz, a set of plaintive folk songs that made me yearn for the countryside whenever I heard it. Mail it to Frank. Sure. Let's talk. Yes, yes, all in good time. He gestured to the bottle in his hand. Drink! Let's get wasted in the middle of nowhere. Maybe he'll kill me. Are you all right? I'm okay. Let's go up to the roof. The view is always amazing from up there. We went up to the stairs and to the roof. The view was mesmerizing. The buildings of Whole Sword twinkled below us, while the star shone bright in the night sky. I'm sure my security is like, what the hell is going on and where is the president? Right as I was starting to give up, I heard a sobbing sound. I turned to Peter and saw tears streaming down his cheeks. I've not yet seen a night sky beautiful enough to make Peter Vectorn cry. What's wrong? Push him off the roof. Problems would be solved, huh? He wiped the tears away. I messed up, Anton. I messed up big time. Evelyn's leaving me. She wants a divorce. You guys have always had rough patches. I'm sure you'll kiss and make up. It's different this time. I've been sleeping with Livia Suno. What? My secretary? You piece of shit. Wasn't there a scene in Mad Men like this where is it Roger was sleeping with Don's secretary? That didn't go over well. You've been what? I know, she's your secretary. I'm so sorry. It's just Evelyn hasn't been the same since she lost her job, and Livia was giving me the sultry looks from the day I hired her. You were away, I was drunk, one thing led to another. But she's more than just a pretty girl, Anton. She's smart and kind. I think we really connected. No need to justify. Men will be men. I mean, it is the 50s, but... How could you do this to me? We're ending things. I told her it's too unprofessional and I want Evelyn back. I still can't believe this. I ought to have you both fired. Anton, please, I'm begging you. There was an edge of desperation in Peter's voice. He took another drink. How many years have we known each other? How many scrapes have we gotten ourselves out of? I can handle this. Maybe. Just trust me. And don't bring anyone else into this. I turned to face my friend and vice president. The habits that had gotten him dubbed the bad boy of Swordish politics when we were young were no longer so charming coming from a middle-aged man. Yet he was still a capable politician, and I couldn't ignore our long history together. I will be blunt. You will fix this, or I will remove you from office. Yes, Anton, I understand. Thank you so much. Anything for my best friend. Without waiting for his reaction, I left the rooftop alone and made my way downstairs. I already promised his office to someone in my party, so if he wants to step out stage left, I'm fine with that. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. What do we do here? I don't know if I want to tell. Should I tell Lucian? I suppose he needs to know about Liv or whatever her name is. You guys want me to call Lucian? I wouldn't mind calling Evelyn, but okay, we'll call Lucian. Yes, Mr. President. I told Lucian everything Peter had told me about himself, Evelyn, and Livia. Thank you for calling me, Mr. President. This serves to confirm some suspicions of my own. We have to meet. Right now? Tomorrow morning in your office, early before either of the two arrive. Don't bring this up with anyone else. I fear we may have more than a mere dalliance on our hands. The line dropped. What the hell is Lucian talking about? National Business Council requires fiscal conservative, or requests fiscal conservative. The NBC issued a warning about the government's budget deficit, which occurred in the third year of the administration. Leadership figures from private and state sectors brought forward complaints that the country is headed toward a debt crisis. We have a debt of -1. Chill, folks. Chill. Special zone abolished. Okay. CSP condemns the submarine attack in a cargo ship? What? The CSP has issued a strong condemnation following the recent submarine attack in a cargo ship off the coast of Macarenas near northeast Rumburg. The incident involves a Rumburg submarine erroneously targeting a cargo vessel belonging to United Cantana, has raised serious concerns about the maritime safety and the need for improved communication channels. Why is Rumburg sinking ships? Okay, start of the day at the palace. It was early in the morning after my talk with Peter. Sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon. The Maroon Palace was empty save for a few cleaning staff. I entered my office to find Lucien already waiting for me. Mr. President, thank you for meeting with me at this hour. I couldn't sleep anyway. Very well. I'm pleased that you chose to call me after your conversation with Mr. Vectorn last night, although I was already aware of his illicit relationship with Miss Suno. I figured as much. You know everything that goes on in this place after all. On its own, given Mr. Vectorn's established reputation as something of a playboy, the affair is unlikely to cause much damage. However, there's a more troubling possibility. A recent conversation with Mr. Hailstone, our whistleblower from Rumburg, revealed the presence of a spy within the Maroon Palace. I believe Miss Suno is our mole. She has been using a relationship with Mr. Vectorn to gather information. Laughs incredulously. I wish I was wrong, sir, but I've just come into possession of this. Lucien reaches into his coat pocket and pulls out an audio tape and fed it into the reel-to-reel machine on my desk. This was recorded in the presidential palace at 1809 on the second day of your trade visit to Lespasia. He pressed play. I heard Peter and Livia's voices. You're sure everyone's gone for the day? Relax, Liv. You don't have to bend over backward for my pal Anton tonight. Only me. Livia giggled. I heard the sound of kissing, then drinks being poured. I miss you in Beneathi. Did he tell you why he decided not to make a deal with Lespasia or Vagsland? He's not interested in forming any alliances? Something about staying as neutral as possible, although even Yosef is saying we should find allies to deter Rumburg. It seems like we've still got a shot with the superpowers at least. We opened the two new lines of communication with Venture City and Kiev. Just exploratory talks at this point, but they might lead to something deeper. And speaking of something deeper, Miss Suno, oh my god. Curiosity about foreign relations doesn't make one a spy. Perhaps, but why so much curiosity about these particular alliances, if not because they could strengthen us against Rumburg? And that's not all. I found her resume on file, and there's a year-long gap between her finishing secretarial school and beginning her new career. Normally this would be looked into, but Miss Suno was hired before a background check could be completed by one Peter Vectorn. Just then there was a knock on the door and Livia opened it cautiously. Good morning, Mr. President. Mr. Galde, I didn't realize you'd be in so early. Can I get you some coffee? Coffee would be great, actually. Livia left to make a coffee. A few minutes later, she came back and served the coffee. Please have a seat, Miss Suno. Livia sat. She looked puzzled. Is something the matter? Enough pretending. Your secret is out. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Gulag! Livia, Lucien has evidence. I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I was foolish and Peter was so nice to me. But it's over now. Nobody needs to know. That's not what the president means, Miss Suno. We're referring to you being an intelligent agent for Rumberg. Livia sat upright. She looked shocked. Pardon me, Mr. Galde? Are you feeling all right? He's fine. What do you have to say for yourself? Mr. President, I understand if you don't want me to keep my job, but why smear me with such outlandish accusations? Masuno, indulge me for a moment. Where were you during the year 1951? Livia's face flushed. If you must know, I was working as a cigarette girl at Porto's in Lockhaven Saloon. I was saving up so I could afford my own place in Holsword. Here's the proprietor's number if you need to double check. Why were you asking Peter about my alliances? To tell the truth, Mr. Rayne, I was hoping to run for office myself someday. I want to make a real difference in the world, like Miss Morgana or Miss Valde. But I guess I messed that up by getting involved with Peter. Now they're all just going to say I slept my way to the top. Wait, how do you know about that conversation? There was a loud pounding on the door. Peter barged in without waiting for an answer. He was unshaven and wore the same clothes as the night before. I came as soon as I heard the three of you were in here. Anton, what the hell are you doing? I told you I had this under control. Lucien already knew. Peter took a seat at the far edge of the sofa. He looked over at Livia and noticed her troubled expression. God, why involve her? This is my mess. She did nothing wrong. Well, there's a small chance she could be a spy. A what? I have reason to believe she's been relaying information to Rumberg. Information that you leaked to her in your carelessness. Lucien's eyes rewound his tape and played it again as Peter listens. You rat bastard! You've been bugging my office? Obviously for good reason. I had noticed Vice President's behavior becoming increasingly erratic and unprofessional over the past months. I wanted to get to the root of the cause. So you wiretapped your own goddamn colleague, and for what? Have you been getting off on this, you pervert? Lucien is like Nixon, with a little less power. Certainly not. I believe that along with the Rumberg whistleblower admission, there's a spy in the palace and certain gaps in Miss Suno's resume. This tape makes a compelling case to the investigation. Whether or not the investigation yields positive results, Mr. Vectorn ought to be held accountable for his willingness to divulge such sensitive information. He ought to stand trial, or at the very least resign. Peter's jaw dropped. Livia stood up. If I may, Mr. President, I've been paying attention to what goes on in the palace, not because I'm some sort of agent, but because out of genuine interest. Hard as that may be for you to believe, Mr. Galde. And from what I've seen, this man has been attempting to undermine your vice president at every turn, perhaps with the goal of replacing Peter himself. That actually makes a lot of sense. Of course you'd say that. Peter's your lover. He was my lover. We've put it behind us. The two of you ought to do as well. My personal misgivings about Mr. Vectorn aside, I would never do anything to harm this administration. Mr. Vectorn, on the other hand, has at best committed adultery and at worst has delivered state secrets straight into enemy hands. Who could I believe? Lucien could be the spy. It's true. My hand is in my hand is in my head is in my hand. They're all spies. Get me the gendarme. We'll do this here. Lucien, can I speak to you alone for a moment? What are you going to do, Mr. President? I believe we should investigate Livia. Mr. Vectorn, what will you do about his willingness to compromise Sordland's security at the drop of a pencil skirt? Peter did what any man would. I'll decide that once we have the results. Very well. Just keep in mind you may need him to shoulder the blame for this. I apologize to Miss Suno and tell her that all this has been a misunderstanding. We can't have her running away during the investigation. I'll do it myself. She's too suspicious of you. Very well, sir. The only thing is, like, there's a good amount of text in here and whatnot for the game, but sometimes I do feel like some of the things are rushed. Like, is there already an affair, or is this in the news? Okay. Maybe not. I don't really know. Do we already know the results? Several days had passed since I ordered the investigation into my secretary, Livia Suno. Both Peter and Livia had been acting unnaturally nice to me, believing I'd let them off the hook for their affair. They seemed to be avoiding each other in the hallway, though. I was just sitting behind my desk when Lucien knocked on my door. A moment of your time? Of course. Lucien entered my office and closed the door behind him. Our security team traveled to Lockhaven to speak to the owner of the pub Miss Suno named. They confirmed that one Livia Suno had worked there. Their description of her did not match that of your secretary. However, it did match that of an unidentified corpse that washed up in Lenkrug Bay 2 months before your inauguration. Holy shit. She had someone murdered? Or what? Or did she just claim like a body had died and so she assumed the identity? It's possible that it was just like, hey, this person died, so I'm going to assume their identity. I'm gonna... Oh, shit! You mean... Further investigation by our operatives in Rumburg matched Miss Suno's description to a woman named Ilana Vance, last seen graduating from Crimsrod Political Science Institute. Our whistleblower from Rumburg recognized the name Vance as belonging to a deeply embedded covert agent, although he had previously assumed it was a man. That lying, two-faced succubus. To be fair, Miss Suno was just doing her job. Your vice president, on the other hand. But none of that can be helped now. The question is, what are you going to do, sir? What do you think I should do? What do you mean I'm gonna murder them both? Is this gonna be literal? Lucien stroked his beard. I'm going to assume you're joking. The standard procedure would be to try Miss Suno for espionage. If we do so, it's only a matter of time before the media pieces together what happened. Easy, I'll get Marcel on it. I look like a fool for having her under my nose this entire time. Outwitted by woman. It would not look good. What if there were no trial? Then you'd... What exactly? Knowing let her return to Rumburg? That would damage us even further if the truth got out. You must remain in control of the narrative, Mr. President, starting by letting Peter Vectorn take the fall. This is as much my fault as his. I should have suspected something. You can share the blame, but you have to prepare for your public opinion to nosedive. Please take a moment to think about this. Mr. Vectorn put you in danger by failing to order a background check on your closest personal staff. He betrayed your confidence to a woman with whom he was committing adultery. Anton, would you do the same to your so-called best friend? For a woman I loved? I don't know. I can't put myself in his shoes. Try guzzling half a bottle of whiskey. That might help. I'm your chief strategist. I have advised you on what I believe is the best strategy, but of course the ultimate decision is yours. Well, this will open up our vice presidency at the very least, so Peter will be our scapegoat. I shall consult your friend Mr. Contrari and write a statement for you to read at the press conference. I'll let you handle Miss Vance. With pleasure. I called Carl Grazer from my desk and explained the situation. After a few moments, I rang for Livia. Is there something you need, Mr. President? You tell me, Ilana. A barely perceptible flash of fear crossed her face. Livia. My name is Livia, sir. I nodded toward my office doorway. Carl Grazer was standing there along with two of his guards blocking the entrance. Ilana Vance, you are under arrest on suspicion of espionage. Please come with me. Her eyes darted around the room. What the hell is going on? Mr. President, have you let Lucien get to your head? I thought you were smarter than that. You're going to pay for your lies, Ilana. No! No, you can't do this to me! Avenge me! Avenge me! Peter, hearing the cries, rushed out of his office. Liv? What the hell? Anton, what's going on? Her name is Ilana. Lucien was right about her. She's a spy. That can't be. Can it? Liv? I won't say another word without a lawyer present. Except this. You're a sad old drunk and a lousy lay. Honestly, if I were a Rumberg spy, I'd barely have to do a thing. You two have Sordland ripe for the taking. She straightened up, right a hand through her curls, and allowed Carl to lead her away. That last-minute confession. Anton, what the hell just happened? I'll tell you in my office. Feel free to take a moment first. Once Peter was in my office, I shut the door and explained everything. Lucien had told me about Livia. You believed him? Well, better safe than sorry, especially after what she called me. At least we finally have this ordeal behind us. Let's get on with running the country, shall we? Yes, let's. But first, a drink. No, my drunken idiocy got us into this mess in the first place. It's going to be a whole new me from now on, Anton, I promise. A whole new vice president. I didn't have the heart to tell Peter how right he was. Yep, that's what it is. Literally new. I wonder if I had answered those questions differently, Iron, if I had been able to actually kill. If I'd, like, can you go full dictator mode and assassinate anyone? I feel like that might actually be an option. Because I went with kind of the joking, let's eliminate them, but what if we had chosen the Marcel will deal with it angle? The morning sunlight streamed through the window, although we already made Marcel not our friend, right? Or maybe I'm confusing him with the other guy. Whatever. Morning sunlight streamed through the window as Lucien and I entered the White Room. I sat down. Lucien remained standing. Good to know, Shen. I may have to try that out. I'm afraid I won't be able to join you for your meeting today, sir. The business surrounding the Liva Suno affair is taking up all of my time at the moment. I was hoping to go over the day's agenda with you before your cabinet members begin arriving, but duty calls. He walked out and I looked at the folder in front of me, then a coffee. Here, bye. I walked over and poured myself a cup. I wondered when my new secretary would start work. Internal affairs was first on the list of items. Leels and Nia, along with their close staff, joined me around the table. Leels cast an eye around the room. No new secretary yet. I hope this means Miss Suno's replacement is getting extremely thorough background check. Needless to say, such an egregious breach of security should be met with harsh consequences. But you know that already. Shall we begin? Yes, please do. Mr. President, I want to congratulate you and again on your historic accomplishment for Bloods and Sordland. Thank you for approving my plans for the revocation of the special zone. The internal security structure of Bergia has already been dismantled. Part of the local security forces will be integrated into the Sordish police. The governor position has been abolished. In the next election, each town will elect its own mayor as the rest of Sordland. And now you, Miss Graff, have complete control over the region's security. As I should, Miss Morgana. I am the Minister of the Interior, after all. In that case, now that the governor is gone, this will hopefully prove to be a huge step for Bludish rights in the region. I hope we can achieve true reconciliation between our people. I hear your concerns, Nia. We'll keep it brief. I think that will be all for Internal Affairs update. See you later, Mr. President. Mr. President, where's the Vice President today? He's thinking very hard about why he was a bad boy. I just wanted to provide you with a few updates on the economy. You may have noticed the government budget is in need of a boost. My ministry is therefore working on a bill that will increase the tax on tobacco products from 10 to 30%. A similar bill is being drafted to introduce a 20% tax on alcohol. In addition to bringing in needed revenue, the new laws would curb excessive drinking and smoking in Sordland. We can't tax the people's booze and cigarettes. There'd be riots in the streets. Interesting initiatives, but would the income we'd receive be worth the harm to Sordish businesses? Good question. The tax won't apply to products designed for export, which would mitigate the damage somewhat. Ordinarily, I'd advise against this kind of thing, but with our budget dipping into the red, any measures would reverse our deficit is worth considering, especially since the Sordish tourism industry has been stagnating. That's disappointing to hear. To be fair, I never understood why anyone would want a vacation in Sordland when Lespasia is right there. There was a knock at the door and Gus' manager strolled in and grabbed a seat. Mr. President, Simon, some exciting news around the palace lately, I've heard. That's it. That's how it is around here. A new adventure every day. I feel like at this point, this should be a lesson to everyone. Double cross me and you'll pay the price. I like the first option, the sarcastic response. You both know how revitalizing the Gruni region has always been a pet project of mine. Well, thanks to the efforts of my ministry and the funding allocated to the president, Gruni is looking stable these days. Stable, that is? That's it? It's far from the massive surge in economic growth that I had hoped to see, but I still believe the area has a wealth of untapped potential. If we seize every possible opportunity to invest in Gruni now, we could see still positive results within our term. Seems like remaining time in office would be better spent focusing on other regions. Well, keep at it. I know how much Gruni means to you. It's the breadbasket of the nation. My ministry was notified about the Rumburgian infiltrator. This is a very delicate situation, Anton. What's delicate about it? They sent us a sex spy and they have to answer for it. I understand our relations with Rumburg were precarious enough before this. The tensions between Sordland and Rumburg have not eased, quite the contrary. As you might imagine, our decision to grant asylum to their whistleblower, Mr. Hailstone, did not sit well with their kingdom. An incident such as this might serve as a tipping point, place too much blame on Rumburg, and we may lose our chance at reconciliation. A compromise in the name of the greater good may spare countless lives. I'll leave you to it, Anton. I know you've got a lot on your plate. It's always a pleasure, David. Groony bears and chewy snake treats. What's going on over here? WPB Mayor. Workers' Party of Bludia. Left wing, the party places a strong emphasis on participatory democracy. Doesn't say anything about the BFF. All right. Multiple WPBs. Are they all WPBs? USP mayor. The USP municipality is governed by a mayor from the United Sordland Party. Hell yeah. So we got the largest, most populated city in Bergia. The rest went to the WPB. Press release for the affair scandal. It was the morning of Livia's trial, and hordes of reporters were gathered in front of the state courthouse. Peter, Lucian, and I stood by the entrance. Lucian had helped break the news of my secretary's arrest. Now the media was beginning to question exactly how a Rumberg agent had been able to infiltrate the Maroon Palace. It was time for me to deliver an explanation with Peter right there. A podium with a bank of microphones awaited us on a courthouse steps. Peter looked uncertain. I had told him I would be doing all the talking today. Remember what we talked about, Mr. President? How could I forget? I was about to blame my best friend for a scandal that would otherwise shatter my administration. And Peter still had no idea. Jesus fucking Christ. Talk about stabbing a guy in his back when he's right in front of you. Et tu, Anton, et tu. Thank you for coming. As you're aware, Livia Suno, former secretary to the President of Sordland, is currently being tried for espionage. As you're aware, Ilana Vance, the Rumberg spy who posed as my secretary, is currently on trial for espionage. Rest assured, the traitor shall be brought to justice. Was she really a traitor? I mean, she's working for her people, right? Rest assured, a security breach of this magnitude shall never happen again. However, the fact remains that she should never have been able to access sensitive government information. She did so by exploiting the weaknesses of Vice President Peter Vectern. Oh my goodness. Mr. Vectern's willingness to put his own infantile desires over Sordland's security has made him a threat to the state. Oh boy, he's right there. Well, we were going to go dictator mode, weren't we? Why would I go 2, Krim? Allow him to resign? Or have him imprisoned? Where he can get no alcohol. Prison seems too much for your best friend. Therefore, the vice president shall be trialed for his shameful actions against the state. If found guilty, he will be imprisoned. Take him. Wait, I put my hand over his mic and gestured to Karl Grieser, who was waiting off stage. He and his men approached. How could you do this to me? I know I screwed up, but Anton, prison? This is for the good of Sordland. For the greater good. Trust me. Fuck you, Anton. You hear me? The clamor of reporters drowned out his screams as he was led away. Mr. President, I will take exactly one question. President Rayne, were you implying that Mr. Vectorn and the covert agent posing as your secretary were engaged in intimate relations? Yes. Were you aware this went on when it was happening? No, I really didn't. Why is no not an option? I had my suspicions. The president will not be taking any further questions. Thank you. The reporter reluctantly dispersed, and Luciana and I looked at each other for a moment. Mr. Vectorn certainly made a scene, but it appears that you'll make it out of this unscathed. Of course, there's now the matter of replacing both your secretary and your vice president. I have a few candidates in mind. Very good, sir. Fuck you, Anton. Fuck you, Peter. No. Better response. Fuck you, Anton. You're not my type, Peter. Rumberg infiltrated Maroon Palace. President's security arrested. Or secretary arrested. Breaking news from the Maroon Palace. Presidential Secretary Livio Suno has just been revealed to be a spy from Rumberg. More details are forthcoming, but it appears the agent, whose real name is not yet known, managed to get past the palace staff stringent background checks and obtain confidential information from within the Rayne administration. The president has taken swift, decisive action to remove her from her position and bring her to justice. President's secretary arrested for treason. United Cantana discovers Arcasian base in Polaris. You'd like to throw your name into the hat? Briefing on women's rights situation. I was sitting in my office and looked at the clock. 2:26. It was almost time for my appointment with Ciara on women's rights. There was a knock at the door. Ciara entered the room with her folder in her hand. The door did not close behind her. Monica entered the room and stood next to Ciara. Mr. President? Anton? Before we start, I just want to thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I've been dreaming about this ever since I volunteered with the Swordish League of Women. I can't believe the moment is finally here. I think both of you together could finally bring change to Sordland. I hope you're right. Sarah sat down on a chair and laid down the folder she was holding. We still have a long way to go before Swordish women are able to enjoy the same rights and privileges as men, or even as their counterparts in Arcasian United Cantana. We've been lagging behind on this for decades. And this isn't only a moral issue. I've seen enough revolutions in this world to understand the main driver of any change: money. She flipped open and started pulling out documents. In the United Cantana, law dictates that women earn the same wages as men in their respective fields. My research shows this led to a 15.5% increase in productivity. You could say this had a direct influence on their superpower status. Arcasia passed laws ensuring maternity leave rights, child daycare centers, and tax deductions for working families. In turn, they experienced a 12.6% productivity boost and a flourishing economy. Both countries also have significantly lower mortality rates, a statistic I believe is directly linked to the improved status of women. Our administration has successfully managed to pull Sordland back from the brink of economic ruin. So I'm asking, why stop there? Why not improve our economy and modernize our society at the same time? It's only logical. Monica handed me one of her documents. It had a list of bullet points on it. The two of us talked it over, and there's measures we believe are most urgently needed. Criminalizing domestic violence? I shouldn't have to tell you how crucial this is. It's utterly unbelievable that in this day and age, Swordish men are legally allowed to beat their wives. I agree. It's a travesty. My wife. I'm glad we're on the same page. Yeah, well, we'll talk when we're home, Monica. As incidences are especially high within Blutish communities, I'd ask for an advocate for setting up special domestic violence task force in collaboration with Blutish women's rights organizations. Are you sure that this is something we ought to focus on? The Bloods are different. They have their own rules. Monica, I'm surprised at you. We can't let women suffer under the patriarchy, no matter their ethnicity. Interfering in Bludish matters has landed us enough trouble already. The Bloods must conform to Sordish law. I'm still not sure about criminalizing domestic violence. Interfering in Bludish matters has landed us in enough trouble already. We can discuss the particulars once the law is passed. What about support for working mothers? It simply isn't fair that women in the workforce are punished for having children. Remember what I told you about Janice, my friend, who basically got fired for becoming pregnant? That would never happen to a man. Paid maternity leave and state subsidized daycare centers could be the key to keeping mothers employed. It's true, having children never hindered my career prospects. It shouldn't hinder a woman either. Moving on. Equal treatment in the workforce. That's an easy one. Right now, Sordland has one of the continent's largest pay gaps between men and women. Okay. Quotas seem far easier to implement than equal pay laws. We should work from there. We'll see about that. Gender equality in public education? I thought I already did that thing. I wouldn't entirely demean the old system, Ciara. Deanna still loves her handcrafted class. I'm not saying we take those away. Maybe boys should learn handcrafts too. Monica burst out laughing. Imagine Frank in an apron. Monica doesn't quite seem as quite revolutionary as Ciara. We can't force schools what to teach to whom. I mean, we are the government, and they are government schools. Okay, we've had this conversation. I'm on your side. It feels too much like you're comparing Sordland to other nations. We must choose our own path. I agree completely. We must aim to be better than them. Better than all the superpowers. None of them have yet managed to achieve true parity among the sexes. If we can do that, we'll make history. Let's talk about how to proceed. I want to establish a commission for women's rights in Sordland with me as its head. Our goal shall be passing and implementing a set of laws to solve the problems that we just discussed. As the commission's spokeswoman, my responsibility will be to make speeches and organize fundraisers. I'll be the face of this movement while Ciara handles the groundwork. If I can show that the First Lady is behind the movements, many women will feel encouraged. Especially those who aren't keen on pantsuits. The organization's name will be the Commission on the Status of Women. It's going to be damn hard getting your laws past the Assembly. I know, but even a watered-down version would be better than nothing. Mr. President, I know we've had friction in the past, but this has nothing to do with the failed education reform. This is a completely separate topic and should be handled as such. One more thing to consider before making your decision. This could also help silence any of the public's lingering questions regarding your former vice president and the Livia Suno affair. Anton, I'm not completely naive. I know that we're proposing would have its downsides, but every time I look at our daughter, I think how I'd do anything to grant her a better future. I know you would too, even if you might not admit it. I hope you make the right decision. We both do. I will approve the creation of the commission and support your bill in the Assembly. Sure, why not? That's all the excitement you can muster? You did it! We did it! Yay! It's not over yet, Monica. The true battle is at the Assembly. We'll celebrate over this when it's done. As long as I don't have to give you any money, I don't care. I love you, Anton. I'll see you at home. Please don't. Well, we won't beat you. Not that I ever did. That was kind of a weird thing, though. Like that was a really weird interaction. Equal rights in the dictatorship. That's my motto. Can I get more money? I really need more money. The selection of a new vice president. Didn't we already promise that one guy is the spot? It was here the day I'd been dreading since Peter's imprisonment. At the entrance to my office door, my new secretary Sylvia stood and took whatever. Why don't we get the secretary we had back in when we were running our campaign? What was her face? Who gave me the weird statue thing? Equal oppression for all. She was a matronly woman in her 40s. She had a spotless background assisting various Maroon Palace officials. Replacing Livia had been easy, but replacing my vice president would be difficult. Swordish law dictated that if a vice president failed to complete his term, new candidates were to be put forward by the members of the cabinet. After much deliberation, the list had been narrowed down to 3. Lucien Galde was the frontrunner, followed by Gloria Torri and Albin Calvin. Well, we already promised it to Albin Calvin. It was up to me to decide who would fill Peter's shoes. I wanted to chat with them one-on-one before making my decision. I had just begun to settle at my desk when I heard a knock at the door. Lucien entered and perched on the chair across from me. Sir? You're one hell of a strategist, but why should I make you VP? It's precisely in my capacity as strategist that I have evaluated the experience and capabilities of your potential vice presidents. Objectively, I'm by far the most qualified candidate. I would advise you not only to think about our long history together, but also the many crises I've helped shepherd you through. I won't say much beyond that. I believe my work speaks for itself. You're such a valuable strategist, I don't know if I can afford to lose you in that capacity. As vice president, my ability to serve you and this administration will only increase. I expect you'll make the right decision. Mr. President, I must say I was not surprised at all when my name was put forward. Why were you not surprised? One does not learn to expect a few things after spending so many years in government. To put it simply, what I bring to the table is years of experience. I've been a member of the Assembly for almost 20 years and spent 7 as its Speaker. That alone speaks for itself. And you know, I'm also a spokesperson of the party, as well as the leader of the conservative wing. You can see what I'm getting at. Your experience would be a great asset. Experience is always important, and so is being able to rally the Assembly conservative voters to your side. This would allow us to pass bills far more easily, especially if those bills are aligned to my bloc's caucus. I will think about it. I want you to know that I value order over everything else, Mr. President. Being Speaker of the Assembly requires principles, nerves like steel, and determination to uphold proper conduct. You can expect to see the same of my vice presidency. You being a woman could also prove advantageous. Not any woman. A strong woman, who was able to protect order in a room full of unruly men for 7 years. Think about the message it would send. The first woman vice president of Sordland? No, the first woman vice president in the whole continent. What support would you lose among the traditionalists? You would gain tenfold among Swordish women. There is much to gain from selecting me, Mr. President. I believe you'll make the right choice. That'll be all for now, thank you. Gloria made her way out. A minute later, there was another knock at the door, this time Albin Calvin's turn. Greetings, Mr. President. It's a great honor to have been chosen as a candidate. Really terrific. It will be straightforward. Why should I pick you? I think you already know the answer. As you know, I represent the reformist wing of the party. What Sordland needs today is not only to catch up to our more modern neighbors, but to surpass them. I believe we can do that. No, I'm sure. However, this will only be possible if we set aside our differences and unite as one. That is the outlook I wish to bring the position of Vice President, so that Sordland can excel and soar to new heights. What can you provide me with? The fact is, if I'm Vice President, reformist members of our party will be more likely to support you and your causes. This will smooth the passage of bills and help move our administration and country forward in record time. Okay, cliche. We could do another drawing. Thank you for reaching out, though. No worries. That makes sense. Not that you might have forgotten, but I would also like to remind you that you promised me a position in exchange for my support in the assembly. Times have changed. A promise once given has to be kept, Mr. President. It would be foolish to go back on your word at this point. I trust your judgment. I'll consider what you said. All right. Let's see here. We can do another drawing real quick. We'll just take a real quick pause. But you've got 5 minutes. If you're not here, I'm going to keep drawing until someone who is here gets it. So, genre pending. Are you here? Sorry, Tux, the entry closed like 40 minutes ago. And I just drew. Genre pending. You've got 10 minutes. I will update the chat. Thingamabobber. Do 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 do. Okay. So what's next? Do I have to pick my vice president now? I do. God damn it. They've requested a private donation from the president. The women have. Okay, I've got the money. Why not? Rayne makes donation to the Sordland League of Women. Women continue to march for equality. Anton Rayne showed his solidarity by donating a large sum to the Sordland League of Women. This was not only a generous gesture, it marked the first time a president of Sordland acknowledged and personally supported the women's rights struggle. Anton Rayne donates to support women. Will policies follow? Is it femwashing or the real deal? Okay. So I got to pick my vice president. Who do we pick? We will abide by the results of a poll. So let's do that. But with that being said, we've been going for almost an hour, so we will pick our vice president in the next episode. Until the next episode, this is the Historical Gamer once again saying thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.